Hello and welcome to Abnormal Mapping episode 93. I'm your host M, and with me is my regular co-host Jackson.
Hello.
It's
Gundam has overtaken
E3 Fallout month, in that E3 happened during this month, and we sure watched the 2 hours of commercials that were there.
Yeah.
2 hours of commercials, an hour and a half of telling the gamers that you definitely didn't terrorize all of us who make games, but you are the reason that we do everything we do, mostly out of fear that you will come for us.
You are the reason that we do this, and there's never been a better time to make video games than right now, which is why we're not really making any video games.
You know, we don't make games. We've mostly pivoted to gambling, and definitely no one's getting a union, so get fucked.
There's a new Xbox coming soon, and you'll buy it, you marks.
I won't. I haven't bought an Xbox in over 10 years.
That's true.
We're here to talk about video games. Did we want to actually talk about E3? I feel like it's been a lifetime ago. We kept promising we'd do an E3 episode of like VoIP Life and then didn't do that. And now here we are in our video game podcast where we could talk about E3 if you wanted.
And I forgot that it happened. I was like, oh, right, E3, that was this month. That happened this month, didn't it? It was fine. It was less painful than last year in terms of like sitting through streams.
I mean, Sony wasn't there.
Sony wasn't there.
And EA didn't have a press conference. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, and like I don't really care about most of the things that I talked about, but I enjoyed making jokes with everyone on the Skype calls and the Twitter and everything, and it was fine. The Direct was good.
Very excited for the Nintendo Direct, yes, as always. They should not have done Bowser like that.
They should not have done Bowser like that. God, Nintendo. They are the only company putting out games that I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for all these, which makes me feel bad because Nintendo are a conservative bad company. Like, this isn't like people often think like Nintendo, they're the good ones. They're our friends, and no, they're just very good at marketing and have games that aren't about shooting people in the face. That's really all it takes.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for Ultimate Alliance 3 and what have you. These are the things that keep me going.
Fair enough. I'm excited for Dragon Quest XI, a game that's been out for a year.
Yeah, but now you can speed it up and ride all the monsters.
That's true.
There's going to be more Hollow Knight one day.
Yeah, there's rumors circulating that that's coming out sooner rather than later, which I like is nice, I guess, I think I want that game to come out next year. If it comes out this year, I don't know if I'm going to find the time to invest in it the way I want to.
Yeah, I think this is based around like phrasing in the Treehouse segment where the Nintendo reps is like, they're just touching it up. But they touched up Hollow Knight for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine that game...
Yeah, original Hollow Knight was one of those games that's been, like, was in development for, like, 8 years or some bullshit, so I think. I might be wrong.
I imagine the game's content complete, and that could be... that's probably still going to be next year to me.
That's fine. I would prefer next year. That's just me.
Yep.
There's such a thing as too much of a good thing, even when it's my favorite thing.
You really love that Hollow Knight.
I do. It's one of the best.
I want to go back to it. I played a bunch of it earlier in December and got pushed off of it around just the stuff going on in my life. But it was very, very good. I was so proud of myself. You mean
around playing Final Fantasy again?
No, it was around my brain. Yeah. But also that. Right, I forgot that Final Fantasy 12 happened. God.
Yes.
Like as an imposition upon me, which is not really fair to it because a lot of it's good, but that's how it sits in my memory. But I remember being very, very proud of the early goings of Hollow Knight because I went through the first few bosses without dying.
Mm-hmm.
I died a bunch in the game, but I have not died at a boss yet.
Yeah.
Because it's good. It's a good time.
Were you about to say that you're good at games?
Yeah.
Well, you could just do that. I wouldn't call you out on it too much. It's not like Hollow Knight has Goombas in it. If there was Goombas in it, you
could get fucked. Just because you are like abnormally good at platformers.
If you want to know what we're joking about, please watch Jackson die to the first Goomba on Super Mario Brothers.
It wasn't that I died to the first Game on Super Mario Brothers. It was the fact that I did that and then died to the first Game on Mario Brothers 3, and neither of those were like planned bits.
No. It's very weird and funny.
I'm not that bad at Mario game. They just happen to not be paying attention properly.
I mean, people have footage of how good you are at Mario games to compare against, so, who can say?
Man, that was a good time.
Let the tape decide.
Just going to play through the Mario games again. Morning Mario 2.
Okay.
I'm not going to do
Take footage of 64 this time.
Yeah, no, that's a good game.
I would happily watch someone play through Mario 64 anytime, so.
Yep. God. Well, I'm thinking about getting back to Let's Plays. We'll see if we have the time, but I would like to find a way to do that. Because turning things into work is the only way I cope with being alive.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from turning things into work, and you're leaning in, so this is how it goes.
Yep.
When one waxes, the other must wane.
Yeah, we'll see if that materializes, but I would like to. I have some plans, but nothing to announce. That's just a thing I'm leaning towards. Could all change in a week. You never know. In this crazy
once
world.
every 2 weeks, I go, I should really get back to Dark Souls 2, and that's the extent of my plans. But plans are there.
Well, my plans are we're never, ever going to be able to play a JRPG on this podcast again.
I don't think that's true, but it's definitely true for a while. I'm pretty burnt out on games right now.
So I should find a way to do it, because I can't do it without turning it into work, because I don't really have the time to justify spending all week playing a JRPG like I used to. Because I do that occasionally, and then I'm just so behind on everything that I have to catch up. So we'll see. Then I have to decide which JRPGs to play, and there's so many. Super Mario RPG.
You know what you should play. You should play Mario, but the RPG one.
Yeah, that's high on the list. I want to play a Dragon Quest, probably 4 would be my guess. Whether these are recorded is another matter, but I do want to fill in JRPGs that aren't fucking Final Fantasy games, because if left to my own devices, I would just play all of them forever. But that's not really a good way to be if you want to be a good critic of caring about things broadly.
Yeah, I guess.
Yep. But that's that. That's all that's going on with me. Finished Birth by Sleep. Speaking of JRPGs.
Oh, how was that?
It's great. It's the first good Kingdom Hearts game.
You liked 358 over 2.
I did. I half liked it. I think it's a mostly very good game that... Well, both 358 and over 2 and Birth by Sleep are games that are unfucking the mess that is Kingdom Hearts 2's just nuclear bomb of a story.
Yes.
And between the two of them, it's been mostly unfucked, and I am ready for what comes next. It will not be bad. I can't believe they did it.
2 more games unfucking the story.
There's 2 more, which I know Recoded is a game where you replay Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories. So the idea, just Kingdom Hearts should be illegal, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
And then there's Dream Drop Distance, which I've literally I have some annoying spoilers, but they're all Endgame 3 stuff. No clue what happens in Dream Drop Distance. It's a Pokemon clone. A Pokemon the wrong. It's a monster collecting game. One of those. It's a whole genre of JRPGs.
Yes.
But that's me. That's what's going on with me. You got anything to say?
I started playing Xenoblade Chronicles, but I'm only 2 hours into it, so I don't have anything to say on that front, other than video games didn't need to get much more complicated than what we saw on the Wii. I like it if it's in HD, but, take or leave it. It's good. Video games going to HD was a mistake. I think we can all agree on that now. Everything runs like shit. It loads forever. It takes up too much space. Everyone fucking is killing themselves making the games, and they have to put slot machines in it to justify the cost. It's all bad.
Yep. It sucks. Have you seen the I assume you have, because they did a games tape on it, but that Nintendo 2006 Revolution announcement, or 2004 when they announced that E3 conference. They spend a large chunk of it explaining that, no, we are keeping this as a GameCube, but with a waggle thing, so you don't have to spend any more money making the games.
Yes.
That's part of their pitch. And it's really good how that plays now when they lost that fight and everything is dead.
Yeah.
But it's good that someone thought of it, at least.
Yeah.
Alas.
Yeah.
But I hear very, very good things about Xenoblade Chronicles. The Monado.
It seems nice. It seems good. I really wish I had a speed up button like the Final Fantasies do these days.
Yep. I don't.
I sit down for an hour and get very little accomplished other than running around fighting things. So,
I mean, that game's like 70 hours long.
you know,
So, but it does seem very cool. But I guess that's that. I guess we should talk about. So we announced that we were going to do one video game. We're doing two.
yeah.
Because the video game we decided to do, we have very, very little to say on it. It didn't end up suiting our format very well. So we're going to talk about that briefly now, but then we're going to, after that, talk about another game that we've both played this month. Bit of a weird episode, but hopefully it'll be fine. Our first game that we're going to be talking about this month is Deception 4, The Nightmare Princess. Or I guess Deception 4 Blood Ties, because that's really the bit that we played some of. This is a game from 2014 or 2015 for the updated version on the PS3 and PS4, developed by Tecmo Koei, just an in-house team, directed by Makoto Shibata and Masaki Shibuya, and it is part of the long-running Deception series that was also called Kagero back in the day, and one of the games was just called Trapped with a T because localizing games was very different on the PS2.
Yeah.
But it's a series in which you play as some sort of demon lady, creating a bunch of traps to kill the people who come into your castle. You'll set up rakes for them to walk onto, ridiculous axes that swing from the sky, and try to build them into combos in order to tear down their health. And that's basically the setup of the entire game. That's where the game comes from, and that's it. That's what we played.
Yeah,
and
is like that.
We played it for a few hours, and then realized that for the kind of conversations we have on this podcast, there's not much to say about it.
Yeah. There's a big long story, but it's mostly just skits about new people wandering into your death rooms, as you slowly build up the capacity to bring your father, the devil, back to life.
Yep.
And it's weird because it there's a lot of ladies and a lot of very sheer dresses in a way that is meant to evoke a horny game, but they have 4 pieces of art and all of them are just the person standing there talking, so it never actually could get there in 1,000 years.
Yeah, no, it's everyone's kind of flirting back and forth, and they all broadly drawn to be the personalities you want, right?
One of them's tsundere, one of them's cute but creepy, one of them's the responsible one, and then there's the main character who is pretty taciturn.
Yep. I will commend them for their character who fits into the fucking, usually is a lolly type mode, but is very clearly an adult, just, is a smaller frame.
It's amazing that these are the standards by which we hold video games.
Anime is crime, is what I'm saying. That
the cute evil girl isn't going to get you put on a list.
Yeah, you're I don't feel like I'm about to be on a watch list looking at this game. Well done, everyone. You passed the bar. And it's fine. I actually quite like it. I think it's very comforting, right? There's a tiny skit about some overeager soldier who's gonna go kill the witch, and they all come into your house, and then you set up a bunch of traps, and they run into them and they get owned. And that's the whole game, and it's a good loop, I think. I think it's very what's the word? Just kind of a good unsurprising type thing to mess around with. It becomes more about what kind of combos can you build than it does about the challenge of how are you going to kill these guys. Because some of the weaknesses come into play, but really so long as you put enough things down, you can always kill these guys. It's not like their attack's going to hit you because you can dodge everything easily. So it's not a challenging game. The challenge comes in making your own fun of knocking guys into toilets. And it's
the actual
very
challenge
satisfying.
is to not walk into the lightning trap in the church over and over again, which I've done so many times.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that part's fun, but I think it's kind of limited. Or limited is the wrong way. It's kind of awkward because it's in real time. So a lot of the gameplay becomes about trying to lead people's AI routines into the path you want, so you can activate your trap chain.
Yes,
and that's the majority of the time you spend on the game is trying to coax, someone's, pathing into the right place so you can get your extreme trap chain off and knock everyone into the right walls. And that's tedious. That's tedious and grating in a way that I don't really know how to solve, because if they just walked on a lemming-style path into the traps, then that'll be fun, but there's nothing there. That's just the game, right? You just make the traps and you go, and then you walk away feeling very empty, which is fine. It's a snack food game. But
so the thing that happened is we have this PlayStation 4 version as the Nightmare Princess thing, and I started with that, not the story mode, which is a much harder, because it's clearly meant for people who'd already played the original game. It is a much harder mode from the jump, where you're given a much bigger palette of items and slots to use, because you start, I think you start with 6 trap slots in that.
You start with 3.
In
that one,
in the quest, in that mode, and just more stuff, and immediately it's like, to progress, you can just like kill the guy with like a combo, like a 3-hit combo, but to get new unlocks, you have like 3 like extra challenges, and they start much harder, where it's like, make sure that you knock over a pillar in this room, and the guy gets hit by an aerial combo, and the thing that kills him needs to be a humiliation trap, and that stuff was much more labor intensive to do, but was inherent, like, because I started that, like, my bar was set to, this was how I was thinking. So when I went to the story mode, and it's just lead a single guy into a 3 trap, because all you have is 3 slots, and you have to do it 4 times because he has a huge health bar because he's the end of the chapter. I was like, oh, I feel like this game is starting to, like, the expectation for the enjoyment is off from how I wanted to play it, which is just set up a huge giant trap that will kill them in one hit. And the game, at least at the initial like story beats, does not allow you to do that really, unless you're really lucky. Yeah,
that was definitely my experience, because that's what I wanted, but it ended up being just kind of leading everyone to the same traps over and over, at least in the like parts that I played.
Yes, eventually you get to characters who won't fall for the same trap again, so you just have to build new ones, but you still don't have the big long 6-string trap until like later in the game, so you still can't kill the end boss with 1 trap, so you just have to build a trap, do some damage, and then run around and build a second trap while they slowly like march at you with their sword out, which is not like fun. There's a lot of waiting around that I think is unnecessary.
It ends up being a thing where like its trappings of being a RPG hold it back.
Yes.
Because it sounds like, because I haven't tried the Nightmare Princess levels, but definitely my vision of the best version of this game is leaning into it being puzzles, because you're given pieces that are basically making these chains that connect to each other.
The Nightmare Princess one doesn't even have, you can't even go between rooms. Like, you only have the room that they set you in. It's very much a more puzzle-focused mode.
Because that's the stuff I like, is this is what's happening. Here's the opportunities you have. How are you going to like efficiently solve this in the best and funniest way? Because you're not even when they start like avoiding the traps or like shooting you from a distance, you're not really in any danger of dying unless you're very, very bad.
Yes.
Because that's just not where the challenge is. So I would have liked them to just lean more openly into, this is a puzzle game, and can you figure out what slots here? Because I feel like it's just very open from the jump in a way that is a bit like, it's limited in that it only gives you a few slots, but you can put anything in them. Most enemies at the start will go for any of them, and you're not encouraged to like think in terms of what fits here. You have to, build the whole chain. You're either like in the tutorials, you're given entire chains to repeat, or you're just given a blank space and a very easy target. I was expecting more of like there's a trap here at this point. You can't move this one. You can't move this one. How do you like make things that can connect them, or concepts like starting chains, linking traps aren't really explored in the design. You just have to do that yourself. Which is frustrating because it's the best parts of the game is when you get everyone into the right. Like, you should go watch the quick look of this. Dan Reichert is so satisfied when he gets like an 8 chain.
Yeah, because getting an 8 chain is amazing. It's just the game, I don't think, equips you to easily get 8 chains. Or the maybe worst part is once you know how to make an 8 chain, it's very easy to make the same 8 chain over again.
That's my problem as well, is that I didn't learn how to chain items. I learnt like recipes. So I know that I have a reliable 4 chain. I can always build this. You can do the boulder to the a flipper that can launch someone in the air. If you time that right, you can get the axe, which can get them to the like pumpkin. Blah blah blah. And so I just kind of end up relying on the same combinations because I know they work and I understand them. I think the game would do well to like push you into understanding the properties of individual items and how you could combine them in a more like
this is why I think the Nightmare Princess mode is better, despite being like clearly not the focus of the game, because it's built around this one. You have to use this item that you've never used before, and usually when you do that, your reward is like the star version of that item with like better stats, which is good. And it's just built more around like being a puzzle game. Like it just turns into that, and it helps a lot. And in that mode, you don't have to play this way, but I feel like it's much more inclined to, if you build the traps with the tools you have, you are going to be able to get everyone in a single combo. That's the thing you're aiming for every time.
Yes.
And I just don't think the actual story mode allows for that even. I mean, literally does not allow, you can't do damage enough to do that early on for some characters.
No, for sure. Which is good that, like, I guess it kind of renders our critiques moot that they made a thing that is addressing all of this.
Yes.
Their next thing definitely goes in that direction and leans into the like designs that are interesting.
But also it's like the challenge hard mode for people who played the first game, right? Like who already played it.
Which makes sense, I guess, because like this is a low budget Japanese game for about 12 people.
Yeah.
This is not a big wide release or anything. But I do think it's cool. I appreciate just it is a thing that is not very common. I feel like, even though it definitely like it's not dissimilar to tower defense, right? Games in which you'd set up your thing and then you watch it play out. This game's pretty unique in its framing of that, in how it like designs it a bit around real time, leading people into traps. But these are satisfying elements that are like all spur out games. Because I think tower defense is a good point of comparison. Is it Dungeon Keeper? What's the game? Because I've never played any of them, and this is just I haven't played enough PC games. What's the game where you are the guy who runs the dungeon and you have to like stop people from getting through your dungeon?
I mean, Dungeon Keeper's like that, and that Badman game that got its name changed is like that PSP series.
Right? Yes.
Yes.
Evil Genius 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't have really much more to say other than I wish it was more of a puzzle game. It's fun. It's the slightest thing on earth. If you just want to walk around and throw some guy into a basketball hoop, it's going to be good. You'll be satisfied when that happens every time. But that's really the one thing it has to offer.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird because, like, I was excited to get out of our comfort zone a little with this one. But also, the problem is there are versions of video games that don't lend themselves to what we do here, right? Like, it's fine. Like, it's not a problem if a game is just, like, a fun mousetrap thing that you build, and you go, that's really funny when the mousetrap goes off.
It's very funny when the mousetrap goes off.
And it's fine. It's like the limits of like media criticism when video games can be just formalist, structured, like it's a toy in a good way. Like, you know, I remember when everyone went apeshit with Miyamoto was like, Wii Music's just a toy. It's not a video game. It's better than a video game. He's right, but we talk about video games here, so when it's a bit of a toy, it's hard to talk about sometimes.
I definitely would have loved this as a kid, right? Just because,
yes,
like, I'm gonna make this kind of trap and see if I can get him to fall into this. Is the entire game, which is just, you know, me playing Stranglehold and trying to slow motion shoot everyone in the balls every time. Like, it's made for that kind of stuff, apart from the fact where no one's wearing any clothes. But, you know, you take what you can get.
Just, you know, when you're doing a podcast and playing games for deadlines, you just don't work that way. My brain doesn't work that. I wish I was capable of enjoying games that way still, and I'm not. Yep,
it was a shame. I'm glad we played it. We didn't fall for it in the way that would have been nice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to talk about the other game we have?
The other game we have, we picked because I was playing it and was like, I'd much rather have been I was talking privately about how much I'd much rather be talking about this game than Deception. You were like, well, we could just talk about this game. I recognize this violates our formal rules of how we play video games. Because we do not pick games that are less than a year old typically, but this is an addition to an old game. So I'm gonna say that while I understand that I'm violated the law, I am the law also.
Yeah, so. You were the one who decided this arbitrarily, and now you have just as arbitrarily decided to break it.
You're over here like none of this matters, nobody cares. I care and must tell you that I care. Because someone out there is probably someone who cares at least a little bit as much as me.
No, they don't exist. There's not one person.
Anyway.
It has been 6 months, though.
The game that we were talking about is Pikuniku, which is developed by Sector Dove and published by Devolver Digital. This came out on Windows and Switch earlier this year, and is a short adventure game with some light puzzle elements, in which you are the Beast, a red blob with eyes and long legs who emerges from a cave into a set of towns and spaces that have been slowly encroached upon by Mr. Sunshine, a man who is promising free money to all the populace. They'll never have to worry. They'll be happy. They'll have money as long as he can take a little bit of the stuff that they don't need, like water or wood or corn. You know, food and drink.
Yep.
And thus you help these people as they realize maybe trading all of our food for coins is not actually super helpful when we didn't need them before, and they don't really do as much now. And you decide to help them through walking around and kicking things and being a blob that everyone was scared of because you were the fabled beast until they realized that you're just kind of chill and generally helpful.
Yep, that's
Might
me.
say a cutting remark now and then.
I'm kind of chill and generally helpful.
And sometimes you say a cutting remark now and then.
Yeah, kind of chill and incredibly helpful is the movie about 9/11.
God.
So Pikuniku is a game that you recommended to me. You enjoying it, and like, this podcast's a little thin. Let's talk about this other game. And I had mostly a very good time with this game. I thought it was chill.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
And I think it has one of the all-time best walk cycles in video games. they understand that walking as a bull with long legs is just good inherently.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yeah, because it's weird because like you when you start off, you're like, oh, is this gonna be like a weird physicsy game? And it's not really, because it doesn't care about. It's very sloppy in that way, and the way in which you just kind of ropily drag your legs through this world by being a big ball with big long legs is so good.
I love it. I love the feel of it.
Yep.
To the point where like disappointed is the wrong word, but like I wanted to be able to do more platformy things. I understand that's not really the game's focus.
That would be difficult considering any time the game asks you to jump, it is a crapshoot on how that's going to go because the jumping in this game is not particularly great.
So, for example, I think that it should be locked in game prison for the fact that when you you walk left and right, walk normal, press the A button, you jump. But you've got really long legs, so when you push the stick down, you do a big crouch. And if you jump while crouched, you do not do a better jump. In fact, you do a worse jump because the jump height is calculated from the blob height and not the leg height. And in that moment, I was like, no, you should be able to do a proper jump when you use your springy legs. But as the game is just not interested in like movement, expressive movement in that way, it's fine. But definitely, as I was like, just a lot of you navigate the world a lot. You jump around the world, you go to places, and it would have been more fun to express that more. But I don't think it like brings the game down or anything.
No, the replacement for an expressive jump is the fact that you could just kick whenever you want by pressing the button.
Yep.
And that means kicking everyone you meet and all the stuff in their houses and everything in the environment. If it is interactable at all, like it moves when you walk around it, I'm going to kick it.
And it led to bits where I was like, do I have to kick this acorn through this entire thing to solve a puzzle? And the answer was
Absolutely
no.
not.
But I did kick the acorn with me for a long time and then tried desperately to get it over a ridge that I just couldn't do.
No, that ridge is there to tell you that you don't need the acorn.
What if I can get the acorn over the ridge? What if I can get the acorn over the ridge?
I mean, maybe you could, but there's nothing to do with it. So
you definitely can, the way that kick works. I'm just bad at it. But
Yep.
you could. Someone could, not me.
Yep. But no, there's like a very good like kid telling a rambly story quality to Pikuniku, especially with like the ways in which that kick interacts with the world. Or like you go to the first town, you bounce in this guy's house, and he makes pottery, and his house is just full of pottery. He's like, "Look at my beautiful pots." And so I did the obvious thing, which is jump up on the shelves and kick all the pots until they were pieces.
100%.
And then you go talk to him. You talk to him. He's like, "Well, maybe shattering pots is as good as appreciating them." And you're like, "Yeah, of course it is." Then you just walk out again. And the like low stakes version of it is a safe environment that it will always be cute to just like fuck around in, extremely good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, there's nothing really wrong other than capitalism. You just have to believe in the free money, Jackson.
I do have to believe in the free money.
If you don't believe in free money, listen to this guy. And he lifts his hat, and there's another guy who's just like him, who's like, trust me, it's free money. Which is good. When I decided the game was good, actually.
Yeah, so I was like, not thinking emoji is the wrong word, but this is a wide genre of game now, where it is light puzzle game that is soft, cute aesthetics, but is also, anti-capitalist, but only in like the vaguest of feel-good terms, right? This is what Donut County was.
No.
I think this is a much better game than Donut County, but I think it understands way more than Donut County does. Also, no, I didn't mean that. I meant this as a point of comparison, right? Like, I think that this game is better than this, but I think that they absolutely fit in with the same like outwardly presenting mold.
Sure.
Which is why I was going in like, is this just going to be another Donut County? And it's not. Context for anyone who's listening: we don't like Donut County. We think it's bad at this because that's a game.
It's bad at storytelling. It's a bad video game. Its production is full of a lot of suspect shit. I think we talked about Donut County at the end of last year, so you can just go listen to that. One of the worst games of 2018.
But that game definitely has the has a thing where in trying to do this, and like soak its anti-capitalist story in a kind of memeable relatability. Like half that game just feels like drill shit posts. And this game like leans into some of that, but it still feels incredibly earnest.
Yes.
In a way, like instead of it being people texting "lol owned" back and forth and being a game like about irony poisoning, which is what Dublin County was, this just has a character fully earnestly, not even as a joke, do the maths lady meme.
Yeah.
And I think it's a much better deployment of those kind of aesthetics and ideas.
You meet like a resistance, like anti-capitalist resistance in this game, and mostly they sit around their clubhouse talking about shit they could do that don't do. And it's not played as like any sort of statement because you just go with them and help them and actually start kicking down all of the like fucking robots that are stealing everyone's crops and stuff. Like, it's just good. It's just like a nice, like, earnest version of this thing.
Yeah, because the resistant thing could totally be one, we're the resistance, and two, look at these people not doing anything type thing. And instead it feels like a bit about, we're going out to the club and hanging out, and we're kind of mad about these things. We don't really have the agency to do anything about them. And just ends up being more about just hanging out and doing stuff with your pals.
Yes.
Which is a much better way to focus
until the beast shows up and kicks down some cops, basically.
Yeah. God, it gets much better towards the end, I feel like, which is very rare with this kind of thing. I would say a lot of story-based games would like front load their most memorable stuff, just, you know, because when you're making something, that's what most people are going to see.
Yes.
But I feel like the better stuff here is like the stuff with the worms.
Yeah, the worms are really good. I mean, my favorite thing is probably the dance contest out of nowhere, which is relatively early, but I just like when I have a rhythm game in the middle of a video game that's not that.
The dance contest is really good. God, rhythm games are amazing. I miss rhythm games.
Yes. Well, no, obviously not going to cover what anyone here, because what we're going to say, it's good when you press the buttons in time with the music.
Right.
But y'all should play rhythm games.
Putting deception to shame. In terms of things that are impossible to talk about. But it really is good when you push the buttons in time with the music. I cannot stress this enough.
Yeah. But yeah, you get to the underground worms who have had their like water dry up because everything's been dammed up for extraction, and thus their underground space is not sustainable for them, and so they've dug around deeper and just found like nuclear waste.
Yep.
Which one of them had decided it was good to drink and is now, instead of a like thin black worm, is a like round glowing green worm.
I love him.
Yes, he's great.
He like flies in during the final boss.
Yes.
To be a trampoline.
It's very good. Very silly.
Yeah. And this game understands that its mechanics are fairly simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a bits where like some of the platforming becomes kind of tedious, especially when you're going down the into the worm like lair.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the platforming becomes most tedious. But it does understand its best mechanism for how its mechanics work aren't as like a puzzle game. It's just like a gag delivery mechanic, right?
Yeah.
And so there's lots of things like there's Metroidvania type, you find a thing and you know you're going to need a thing to put in here, but that thing's in a different town, so you've got to go do that and solve these like very light use keys to open doors puzzles, including like, you know, you find a games console and there's nothing to play in it, and then you find someone else who's like, I've made a game, and you go take it to the console, right? And stuff like that.
Yes.
Which is all very good, and it doesn't like achieve nothing. It doesn't like progress the world nor story in any way. That just exists for its own sake.
Like at the very beginning, when you exit the side of the mountain, there's like a space up above where you're like, I can't get up there. And eventually when you can, you go back, and on the other side is just like a nice beach that you hang out with. You get like an achievement for hanging out at the beach.
Yeah, because you go there later for as you go back to that town,
mm-hmm.
you have the water hat that allows you to make the flowers grow.
Yeah.
And at the start of the game, of course, there's going to be like cool puzzles over there, and yeah, it's the beach.
Yeah, it's just a beach. There's a beach ball. There's a lighthouse. You can't do anything with either other than kick the beach ball around. Some crabs will walk around at you. That's it. It's just nice.
I was about to get so mad at the idea that you can't do anything with the beach ball. As if kicking the beach ball isn't the greatest thing that this video game offers. Just kick the beach ball around.
Yep. A lot of that is little touches like that where there's like a hidden collectible in the game, but it's not any actual like use. You go into some spaces that are like in hidden walls and you just can like zoom in and see like little bugs and snails that are cute.
Yep.
And they're just cute at you for like a second and then that's it.
Yeah, I was like, these are sounding kind of collectible because video games have broken my brain.
Yeah.
And I realized that going through the game, like, no, none of these they're just things. They just exist.
Yeah.
Remember when that was how art worked?
Yeah, you can just look at the stuff and enjoy it for what it is, and it's not like part of a checklist.
Video games have broken my brain.
Yeah. That was my reaction. Like Pikuniku has like a story and a plot, but it reminds me of games like Windowsill or there's one that's like called Alphabet. I think it might just be called Alphabet. That's like a kid's game. It's about teaching letters, but it's just like you touch the letter and it does something. It's like a mobile game. Mm-hmm. That are just like more just interactive, fun experiences than they are like a video game in the way that we formally talk about. Like, you know, you start the game and you do stuff and you get to the end and you see all the content and that's it. And Pikuniku manages to bridge that stuff better than most games I've ever seen of this type, because when a game's cute, I usually want to play it. But it's got to the point where, like, I've played enough donut counties in the world where, like, when Pikuniku came out earlier this year, I was like, this is just another one of those. Fuck that. I'm not going to bother with it. Until it was on sale on Switch, and I was really hurting for something to make me feel good about video games again. I was like, I'll play the cute red blob game. If this disappoints me, I knew that going in and only spent like $5 on it. And ended up being super surprised at how nice and considerate it is, both of like time spent and what you get out of it. Mm-hmm. Like there's at some point, once you start kicking robots, there's coins like all over the world, and you can pick them up, but you don't need them for anything. There's not much gating around the coins, and there's way more coins than there is stuff to spend them on. So you just kind of can collect them if you want. Not a big deal. It's nice. It's nice that you don't have to get 800 moons.
I'll tell you why it is. It is, you collect the coins, and if you collect, not all of them, but if you are pretty diligent about the coins on the way to the town in the trees, then you can get the actual cool glasses.
Yeah, no, I got the actual cool glasses.
Yeah. That's it. That's all. They're just cooler than the other glasses.
Yep. Yeah, like there's like little things, but it's not a big deal. Like I feel like a different version of this game would have gated your progress based on you need to make sure that you've gotten like 80% of the coins in this area before the tree will fall down and you can walk across it to the lake.
Definitely. And also, like, you talked to me earlier, right, about this game where it fits in this kind of new style of its theming is, like, on one level slightly ironic, as it's like, it's a cute game, but look, there's the evil capitalism man. But not really. Like, it is just that. It's just that for kids.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of like this is where cartoons are at, right? Like you can have messages and themes and still just be like a fun thing to mess with and play through. Like the part where it never winks about like, our message about capitalism is like crazy because we put it in this cute thing. It's like, no, like kids can have a story about how extracting corn out of it, like stealing everyone's food to give them money that they can't spend anything on because they didn't have a society about buying shit, is a thing you should teach your kids about because it's the hell we live in.
Yep. And yeah, like I know Donut Candy's been our go-to this entire episode. It's just the symbol for these kind of games, but there not being any kind of like irony, wink and nod is so refreshing.
Yes.
And because it just is that, and it's fun because that's like, you gotta remember, which I know this also got co-opted by irony over the last decade. This is just what Sonic is on some level. This is just what the real things are.
Us, genuine, earnest #Sonic studies. Yes.
Yes. Have not heard Sonic studies in a few years.
It's us. We're Sonic studies.
We can't. I'm cutting that out.
It's just true. Why would you cut it out? One, I'm editing this.
You have to cut that out.
No, we're Sonic Study. We are. We literally played through a bunch of Sonic games and care a lot about Sonic now. This is the life we lead.
Someone else's brand.
Yeah. More people can have the brand. It was a movement. That's why it has a hashtag.
The Sonic Studies movement continues.
Yep.
But yeah, like, this is just an earnest one of those, and it was good. Because, like, remember, there was a terrible video a while back that was like, did you know that Katamari is anti-capitalist and it's like about things and it's a subversive message, which is a thing that a lot of recent things like pick up on as like, this makes it subversive, and it doesn't. Having that message isn't subversive of anything. Katamari is not subversive.
It was just that.
It was just that.
It was just
there was no subversion. It was just plainly that, and it was just nice about it. And so
it was just about recognizing how much random shit is in the world and how little all of it matters, but how it still has weird nostalgia attached to it. Like, the commodification of things and learning to, like, look past that is literally what Katamari's about. You roll up all the stuff and then you see all the stuff. You get to collect it and look at it. It has cool text with it.
It's the secret darkness.
It's not.
Not everything is a game theory. Some things just have themes.
Yep.
And they're not secrets or twists. They're just there. And Pikuniku embodies that in a very good way. And you get to the final boss, and then you just kind of kick him into space.
Yep.
Because it's just they understand that a gag is better than a boss fight.
Yep.
Which is the truest thing that has ever been said.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts on Pikuniku. I don't know if you've got anything more to say.
No, I think that's pretty good. It's a good game. You should play it. It's like pretty short. It's like I did less than 3 hours in that game and saw pretty much everything. Like, I didn't get all of the trophies that you can collect, but I wasn't interested in, like, exhausting the space.
Yes.
Get it on sale maybe. Like all video games these days, when I have a much more limited budget, I'm like, everything's a little too expensive, but it's a good time.
Yep.
So yeah, that's Pikuniku. I'm glad I played it. I need to play more short, cool games and less big, long, tiring games is the answer.
Yep. So how's Xenoblade Chronicles treating you?
I mean, I played 2 hours. I haven't played it in like 5 days, so I can't tell you. It's fine. You can't do this to me.
I just did.
Normally this would be where we have emails, but I didn't put out a call. It's on me, but we don't have any emails. If you want to send emails about video games, please send them to podcast@normalmapping.com. And just let us know. We talk about the games we're going to play, anything about video games. We don't play everything, so we're not experts, but we'll do our best to lie to you.
I would love just some broad video game questions. Just anything you got. Hit us with some questions, please.
Someone in my Curious Cat last night asked me what I thought about the critical backlash of open world games, and I was like, I don't know. I've played like 2 of them in the last 5 years. I'm not the person to ask.
Yeah.
I think they abuse people's time, but also I really like the ways in which they can model mundanity, and people should play Sleeping Dogs in Yakuza.
They're playing one of those.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. People are playing Sleeping Dogs because it's about 50 pence on Steam every week.
If you bought Sleeping Dogs and have not played it, please fucking play Sleeping Dogs. Jesus Christ,
it's very good. But yes, no. Any question? You get Curious Cat questions all the time, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but just. You could treat the email inbox not dissimilarly, because I get to answer them too. I can't answer Curious Cat Twisted questions on Twitter. That would be hell. because I have too
Yeah.
many followers.
Yeah, Jackson can't do Curious Cat anymore. But if you want to send Jackson Curious Cats at podcast@abnormalmapping.com, we will answer them next month. Jackson, what's our next game?
Drum roll, please. It is Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah.
Battle. I
Battle
guess
is
Sonic Adventure 2
the
Battle.
one my brain immediately goes to because I played this game on the GameCube when it came out.
Is it still Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on Steam, or is it just Sonic Adventure 2?
I think it's just Sonic Adventure 2. I don't know.
It is the version of that game that is out now.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to be playing. I'm looking forward to it because we haven't really covered Sonic here, despite the fact that between the two of us, we've played basically every Sonic game that exists.
Yeah, outside of Unleashed, I think.
Yeah, I haven't touched Unleashed. There's like I've never touched Sonic R, like some of those like weirder spin-off ones.
I've not played the advanced games. Have you played the advanced games?
Yeah, they're good.
Okay. Played some of Rush because I love the soundtrack because I'll follow Hiddy.
I think it's in Rush also, but in the advanced games you can do tricks while you're grinding rails by pressing the shoulder button.
Oh shit! Yeah, video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about Sonic next month because you're like, oh, this deception thing. Yeah.
I was like, I need to feel good about video games again, and I looked at things I might be interested in, and I was like, we should talk about fucking Sonic the Hedgehog.
We're gonna bring everything back. We're gonna energize this podcast, come back stronger than ever with Sonic the Hedgehog. Maybe you've heard of him.
Adventure 2.
Yep.
Because I don't actually like Sonic the Hedgehog. I like the 3D Sonics. That's who I am.
That's who I am too.
So that's it. Jackson, plugs.
I am at Headfuls Off on Twitter, and you can find the podcast we do at abnormalmapping.com. We have a bunch there, but you should really listen to Repertory Screenings, which is our new movie podcast that comes out every 2 weeks. There'll be a new one next week. It's a little delayed, but that's generally the schedule is bi-weekly. And it's where we watch every time a new movie, and they're good. Well, I guess they're old movies, but they're mostly new to us. And it's a good way to just watch movies and talk about them. I feel very, very happy about our selection so far, and going forward, we've got some good plans. It's my favorite podcast for us to do right now, and Destiny's on that. So it's three of us talking about movies.
Yeah, if you've listened to old and raw mappings and like, what happened to Destiny? One, she's busy, and two, she's now on Repertory Screenings. So
yep, it's very.
You think I don't play video games much?
Yeah, no, there's no more Style Savvies, so Destiny's done. No,
Animal
Crossing's about, yeah. Like, what's next? It's Animal Crossing, and occasionally both of you think I should get back into Binding of Isaac, and then don't.
In March, Jackson's gonna be doing this podcast by themselves because me and Destiny are gonna be playing Animal Crossing.
Anyone wants to submit the applications of being my co-host from March 2020 to March 2021? That'd be great because you just won't be present for all. Because it's always every Animal Crossing game the full year, and then you're free. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I have to give myself a limit. One, it allows me to dump as much time as I want, knowing it has an endpoint for me. And two, it allows me to get the hell out of there when I'm done.
Yeah, but if anyone wants to be on this podcast, please let me know. Where else can you find me? Find us. Find the there.
You can find me on Twitter at em_being. You can find this podcast on patreon.com/abnormalmapping, where you can support. For $1, you will get every week the Great Gundam Project, which is me and Jackson talking 2 episodes of Gundam. Right now it's Victory Gundam, and usually a backup show. Right now it's Macross, which is the best mech show that we've seen ever. So, you should be watching Macross. Even if you don't listen to our show, watch Macross. It's really, really, really good. Aside from that, if you don't subscribe to that, sometimes we do anime episodes that are dictated by our patrons or stuff that doesn't fall under the mech umbrella. And for those, we do a side anime podcast called Your Uncle's Beach House, which now has its own dedicated feed. If for some reason you don't subscribe to the Patreon, you can go to abnormalmapping.com and there will be a link there to iTunes, RSS. You can just put it into your podcast app. It'll pull up now. We did all that work. And we recently released an episode about Nichijou. If you were part of the current anime discourse, we have an episode we did last year about Evangelion. Understand that we have conflicted feelings about Evangelion going into that. Negative feelings, really. I don't like Evangelion. Anyway,
Yeah.
With all that said, thanks everyone for listening. Tell your friends, please. Word of mouth is the best way to spread the show. We're looking on maybe changing up our format next couple months a little bit, but we'll give you more information when we know what we're doing. But we're thinking about maybe doing like smaller games more frequently. I don't know. Things are up in the air. But as we approach episode 100, it's time to start thinking about what we're going to do to get to episode 200 without dying.
This is really funny to me because we were thinking about making some changes, and we might do that, but we decided to put that off by playing some fucking Sonic.
Yes, that's actually what happened. Yeah. Podcast isn't going anywhere. We're still going to cover old games. Absolutely. That's not going to change. We'll do it the way we do it. We just might do some, smaller games more frequently, or no RPGs. We don't know. We don't know what it's going to look like yet. But like I said, we're on the road to 100. Time to think about it, because I want to be doing these podcasts until video games are dead and the earth has been salted, and we are just covering all the old games left to play.
Yep.
And I think that'll take another 5 years. So
Yeah, no. Alongside Unicorn or whatever.
Yep. Thanks everybody. Come hang out in our Discord if you're listening to this. The link is on the website, abnormalmapping.com, if we didn't say 3 times already.
World's longest outro. Goodbye.
No!